All right.
Hello, jumping back in.
Yeah,
That was like a
right
2-minute break.
Very quick
so
break
we have
here.
Andrew Ding versus Alberto Lara, two very experienced Southern California players.
Yeah.
Very interesting teams here. What do you think about them?
I actually faced Andrew Ding's team earlier, right? It's actually very offensive team. I mean, the turn, especially when I was playing him, right? The turns I would try to get off, like stuff like my hands for a graph, right? I would try to get up trick room, but he would just non-stop pressure. So Andrew Ding's team is very offensive, a lot of damage coming out from it. And meanwhile, Alberto's, right? I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen when he played against Geo. I haven't seen it on the stream. But I mean, it does seem like a very quite opposite. It actually seems like a kind of like a while it does have offense, it is a lot more of a passive team, right? I mean, you have redirection users like Gastro, Amoongus, right, to actually deter said rapid strike Urshifu, right?
Exactly.
So
Rocky Helmet, Amoongus, and Gastron are very scary for Urshifu, right?
Yeah.
Alternatively, though, we do have this Tornadus, right? Tornadus being very good into Amoongus, shutting down pretty much all of its moves, and Bleak Storm doing so much damage to it, right? On switch in or in the back, right?
Yeah.
Something interesting to see here is that Andrew is running the Grassy Glide Swords Dance variant of Heart's Flame, right? Getting that Swords Dance up using the priority spam from Grassy Glide to take fast knockouts, do tons of damage.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see how he chooses to fight into Alberto and how he chooses to, if he chooses to get those Swords Dance up even, right?
Yeah.
It's very threatening, and honestly, I think it's his best answer to these also intimidates that we're probably going to see from the Landers. So we're quickly getting into game one.
Yeah, I know. They
Andrew Ding versus Alberto Lara, top 4.
Yeah, I mean these are two very well-known and well-seasoned players, right? Andrew Ding just going 14-0 and
interesting
Swiss.
here. We're gonna actually see the Amoongus Fluttermane lead from the from Alberto, right? Taunt into Amoongus, shutting down all of its moves. Alternatively, Bleakwind, right, doing so much damage to it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note that Andrew's Fluttermane does have the Tailwind possibility here, right? So he will be faster than Alberto's Fluttermane. This is a very interesting lead from both competitors. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. So
Yeah,
it seems like Andrew's going to lock into a Bleakwind Storm, a Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. Alberto is going to switch out that Amoongus, not wanting to take that Bleakwind Storm, switch into King Gambit. If we see a drop here from Bleakwind Storm,
it will be huge.
that
right?
would be enormous.
And
so we're going to see that Terra come out.
Actually, it did lock in the Dazzling Gleam, so we might not see a Moonblast drop, right? It locked in. I mean, well, I mean, it didn't necessarily lock into Dazzling Gleam, but it did lock.
It did lock, yeah,
it is the choice specs here, actually. My memory did not serve me correctly, but it's fine.
So interesting to note here that both Fluttermane's Strathslides, but Alberto's Fluttermane did go first, showing that it is a boost, or it is the faster of the two, right?
Yeah,
that could be very relevant later on in game 2 or game 3.
Right? It's the
also, his Fluttermane will be attacking first here. Andrew not pressing Tailwind, right? So we're gonna see Dazzling Gleam come out first,
this is gonna
potentially doing a lot of damage to this Tornadus, right?
Oh wow!
Over half of both of these Pokemon, we do see Dazzling Gleam come out here.
And the King Gambit's gonna take it relatively well, right? Yeah. Like
Fluttermane taking over half. Well, we see this Bleakwind Storm double hitting both Pokemon.
Does not
get the Fluttermane. Does not get the drop on the King Gambit.
Does not get the drop.
So interesting here. King Gambit does have Sucker Punch. Possibility here, right?
Yeah, and we know it knows it's locked into said Dazzling Gleam, right? So I mean, it can go for the Sucker Punch, and there's not much. There's actually not much we could there's not much we could do about it, right? Like other than if it targets
Alberto getting greedy potentially, maybe doesn't not respect the Fluttermane just staying in and gleaming. If Andrew chooses to do that, right, he could go for the Swords Dance, maybe. I think he's Swords Dance. Oh, he's not actually, he's Assault Vest. So Sucker Punch is actually really threatening here, right? Alberto does actually switch out his Fluttermane, wanting to preserve it in the back, right?
Yeah, probably because he's probably respecting a Tailwind.
So we're most likely going to see a Tailwind come out here. No Sucker Punch. Interesting. Oh wait, actually we don't know yet.
We actually don't know. Yeah.
So no Sucker Punch does actually come out. Dazzling does come out.
This year.
It's gonna do quite a lot. Crit will take. Does not actually King Gambit. So close. Kowtow's straight into the Tornadus. Gonna knock it out. King Gambit does actually also get knocked out by the Rocky Helmet. This is potentially disastrous for Alberto, right? You lose the Tailwind. Sure, your Amoongus is full health and unharmed by the taunt, but now his Fluttermane does threaten yours. Urshifu Water is in the back, threatening a lot, and
it does depend
really
on what
awkward,
Alberto
right?
has in the back. His fourth Mon, right? I mean,
I think honestly, Heatran is probably his best saving bet here.
Heatran actually, like, if he somehow gets rid of the Search. Oh yeah, it does have Landorus actually.
Yeah, so
Rage
Landorus
Power will be the fastest thing on the field. It is Scarf. Yeah, it is Choice Scarf. And Amoonguss does have the crucial redirection. So that means even if he goes for like something like close combat or surging strikes, crucially it is actually a yeah, it can go for close combat if it wants, right? But this Amoonguss will survive a Dazzling Gleam plus.
Yeah, so we are going to see this Dazzle, most like Protect Dazzling Gleam come out here. Actually, no, he's going to switch into this Rillaboom, right? Preserve this Flutter Mane maybe for later. Faking out that Amoonguss next turn maybe, and Surging Strikes the Landorus, right? That's going to do so much damage. And you basically block the Rocky Helmet redirection with Rage Powder. So, very interesting here. So we do actually see Rillaboom come out. Protect goes into that Urshifu slot. Let's see what Alberto chooses to click.
Oh,
Landorus actually switches out.
That's actually quite smart here, right? Because
you get to cycle that Intimidate.
Yeah.
Flutter Mane coming in here is very interesting because I guess he didn't think anything would hit that Landorus shot, right? So Protect has come out. Let's see if a Rage Powder comes out.
Yeah. And
so Spore actually. Wow. Rillaboom actually.
Wow, that was actually a really good play by Alberto, right? If he didn't switch out that Flutter Mane, it was like.
This is interesting from Alberto. It seems like he's willing to sack his Flutter Mane just to let the Amoonguss next turn redirect this Urshifu. So we're actually going to see the fake out into that Amoonguss and the Surging Strikes into the Flutter Mane.
Yeah, and crucially, right, Landorus will be able to come back in without like any fake out pressure on it, right? And then
fake out pressure on the Amoonguss. Yeah, so the Rage Powder cannot go through, and
he actually withdraws.
So he actually switches out the Amoonguss, making a prediction of the fake out, switching in the Landorus,
reducing the potential damage.
The -1 attack, very important here.
And we saw that. Okay, so we saw the fake. We can see the fake out. Barely does anything. Goes for the Surging Strikes and
knock out into the Flutter Mane.
Knock out into the Flutter Mane, right? So that was the expected result there, right? Flutter Mane can protect. So he takes the loss there, but now crucially does get in
Rage Powder.
Does get in Rage Powder, right? And then
he gets to refresh that Amoonguss, right? That little bit of health. Had it taken damage? I don't think so.
Amoonguss.
Oh no, it took a little bit, right?
It took a Specs Dazzling Gleam earlier, right? Probably honestly healed it all back up with the grassy terrain, but like now since he has the Rage Powder, it's good. But the thing is, the Rillaboom still has the Woodhammer opportunity here, right?
Woodhammer does so much on Rillaboom, right?
Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough here. So he's probably gonna have to go for a potential maybe like Rock Slide endgame, right? What can you do? Sometimes you just gotta do that. So hey, let's see what Alberto's able to do, right? I mean, Woodhammer. Oh wait.
So wow, there's actually. Alberto does not actually go for that Rage Powder, right?
Yeah, and that's very interesting, right? I'm guessing that was a very bold prediction, right? Where he was thinking like, oh,
Andrew wouldn't play it safe, or would play it safe. And
played it safe with like a close combat or something like that, right? But I mean, that Woodhammer actually doing nothing. But like Amoonguss by itself, I don't know how much it could do versus these guys.
So we'll probably see a Spore here into the. Oh, actually. Palm Puff. Wow, he really made that read.
Yeah, and that was good on Andrew's part. Right?
Maybe Alberto also got the speed tiers wrong, right? Yeah. Maybe thinking that the Tailwind Urshifu was slower than the Choice Scarf Landorus.
Yeah, crucially, I believe the Urshifu is like adamant. But yeah, that was very interesting, right? I do feel like maybe he thought he would protect the Urshifu, thinking that a Rage Powder would come out, right? Because I believe he didn't. Did he protect on the last turn? No, he Surging Strike. Yeah, so like maybe he thought the Detect would come out because of the Rage Powder, right? So yeah. Because I could see how that play could have worked out if Alberto did get the call correct, right? Because what would happen is it would have gotten a Spore into not the Spore, but it would have gotten a Pollen Puff into the Lando that doesn't go down, right? Meanwhile, Urshifu wastes a turn on Protect. Right?
Exactly.
And then he gets the Pollen Puff off, he gets back some health, right? And possibly the Tailwind goes down the next turn. as well.
So it's interesting to see what these competitors lead here. We're actually going to see Tornadus Fluttermane from Andrew. Oh, actually, maybe I spoke too soon.
Maybe not. I mean, it is.
Wait, this Chenpo's named Sean.
Hey, there's a lot of people's names on here. Definitely for a lot of people's names on here for this, and that's Tornadus Fluttermane again. It actually did it did serve him well in the last game.
In the last game, right? Yeah. Threatening that Amoonguss, threatening the Urshifu. Yeah. Or not Urshifu, sorry. Threatening that Fluttermane, right? Like the
Fluttermane and the Landorus at the same time, right? I mean, I think maybe Alberto could go for maybe like a Heatran here, right?
So we're gonna see the Fluttermane King Gambit.
Okay, so this is a very interesting lead here, right? I mean, it does actually, funny enough, the King Gambit is an Assault Vest variant with Iron Head, right? So this Fluttermane is actually very threatened right now.
Yeah, so we're actually gonna see Terrasilize coming out from Andrew here, right? The Terra Fairy and Tailwind. It's interesting to see how Alberto reacts. Is this actually a Terrasilize on Alberto?
It is,
yeah. So both Fluttermanes are Terrasilize. Once again, Alberto's Fluttermane is faster than Andrew's.
Yeah, I think we saw Tailwind get locked in there.
Yeah, we saw Tailwind absolutely get locked in on Andrew's side. It's gonna be interesting to see what Alberto chooses to click.
Yeah, and we know this Fluttermane actually does survive a Dazzling Gleam here, right? So I mean,
not a crit.
Not a crit, right? I mean,
we also know that Tornadus survives, which is much more critical, I think.
Yeah,
right, being able to attack another turn. But interestingly, this Kingambit did not actually Sucker Punch, so it's most likely going to be locking into Kowtow or Sucker. But it does actually Moonblast Tornadus. It does live on 9 HP. Iron Head into that Fluttermane, going to take a knockout.
Oh, that was a really good play by Alberto.
Yeah,
right?
Alberto's in an excellent position. Tailwind might be up, but like you lost your Terra Fairy Fluttermane. Their Kingambit is really not that chipped and has so much Sucker Punch potential, right?
Yeah, it is kind of threatened by the Urshifu here, considering that this Urshifu applies pressure on.
Yeah, and Tailwind is up, so it is faster than most things.
Yeah, but it knowing that it can only target one at a time, it is on. He does switch in the real.
Yeah, so the Woodhammer into the Fluttermane is very interesting here. I'm interested to see how Alberto chooses to position, because he had a great turn one, but his position's kind of awkward now, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens in VGC, right? You have a great turn one, you take a lot of knockouts, but then your position awkward, right?
Yeah.
Because they get in them on that they didn't really need earlier, or they needed earlier, but they couldn't switch it in safely.
Yeah,
so we're actually seeing Tornadus switching out for the Urshifu.
Wants to preserve
very interesting.
Oh, he withdraws Fluttermane. That's actually really good here, right? Because I mean,
Andrew gives a little smile. So Landorus does actually come out here. The Intimidate drop on the Urshifu and the Rillaboom.
Yeah. So Intimidate drop
from Kingambit. We will actually. Woodhammer goes straight to Landorus, doing quite a lot of damage.
And now we know the Woodhammer itself would not have KO'd the Landorus, right? He goes
Kowtow straight into that Urshifu, doing very little. The 100 Pokemon with the fighting resist, right? Or the dark resist and the fighting type. Very interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, it's this very interesting spot now, right? Because both these Pokemon are faster, and he could easily just, actually, I mean, maybe
Tailwind is very strong here.
Grassy Glide may not.
Grassy Glide definitely doesn't pick up. Yeah,
it may not pick up, so he kind of has to go for Woodhammer here. That's the one interesting thing here. So does he let the King Gambit live here?
Interesting enough, Andrew's actually going to double the Landorus slot.
And does he get the prediction?
He does get the prediction straight into that Amoonguss. He looks very upset about it though. Sucker Punch going into that Rillaboom doing so much damage. Close combat straight into that Amoonguss, doing well over nothing.
Well over nothing. Yep. That's an apt way to put it, right? I mean, I think he thought he might switch out the King Gambit, so he doubled that, right? I mean, yeah, because the King Gambit was a lot more threatening there, and Alberto just gets the call correct, which one Amoonguss is going to go into, and there's a bunch of Rocky Helmet chip all around.
Keeping that King Gambit in front of that close combat Urshifu, so risky the way these SoCal players play.
Yeah, no, I mean, Alberto is such a seasoned player, right? I'm sure, while it was not necessarily...
It's a very awkward position for Andrew. It seems like the writing is almost on the wall here. This King Gambit puts so much pressure on so many things, and the close combat is so risky because of this Rage Powder, right?
And
so Andrew's actually just gonna forfeit, go on to game 3, knowing that he has no real outs.
Peter out, right? So I mean,
the NPC
it quite literally can just kowtow and then Rage Powder things, right?
Yeah,
so,
like Rage Powder, like he effectively has no way to get rid of this Amoonguss without Tornadus. Tornadus is so low, right?
Yeah.
Just one hit onto that Tornadus.
And then something's going down after.
Terra Fairy Fluttermane is still in the back, alive. It's
pretty decent health. Aquajet probably doesn't pick it up. Stuff like that, right? So I mean, well played by Alberto, right? That prediction at the end, the turn 1 and the last turn prediction just really sealed it for him, right? Because the fact that he was able to bait out the Terra and just go straight for the Iron Head, you know, like, there's no real way, Gambit was gonna go down there, barring like even with the crit, right? It's an Assault Vest Gambit, like even a crit probably would have let it survive there. So
exactly, I'm really interested to see how Andrew chooses to play this so that reposition, right? Alberto notably has not bringing the Gastrodon, right? Does not actually respect that Urshifu much, choosing to use that Amoonguss instead, right? Amoonguss covering not only the Urshifu but also that Rillaboom, right? But interestingly enough, the Amoonguss does have that critical weakness in Tornadus, so it'll be very interesting to see how Andrew chooses to lead here, or Andrew and Alberto choose to lead here in position around these Mons, right?
Yeah, no, it's very it's a very tough game 3 because they both know what they could do into each other's teams now, right? Especially with the lead Andrew.
They both know how to win as well.
Yeah, they both know how to win, right? So does Andrew go with the same lead predicting Alberto to like kind of overthink it, or does he go with just different lead to counter Alberto's previous lead, right? So we're gonna see the leads here, and it's gonna come down to it. Fluttermane Landorus into
Fluttermane Tornadus. So interestingly enough,
not switching it up.
So interestingly enough, here, this Intimidate's gonna go very wasted here. This Fluttermane Moonblast on Andrew's side is so threatening. Right. It's very interesting to see how.
And now that he knows the speed tiers, he's gonna Tailwind this time. You know, and
he's gonna Terra Fairy, just Moonblast that Fluttermane, gonna try and knock it out.
He's gonna go Moonblast here too, right? And it's actually really interesting, right? Because I mean, if Alberto predicts like the single target Moonblast here, right?
It does so much damage.
Yeah, it will do so much damage, but I mean, he could also just bring in the Amoonguss, or even bring in the King Gambit, fishing for a Defiant.
For a Defiant proc, right? Yeah. But also Andrew, game 1 and game 2 has shown his willingness to just click Dazzling Gleam instead. So it'll be interesting to see if his Moonblast switch here is actually like what's gonna call the win. So we see a Terra Fairy come out on Andrew's Fluttermane.
Insane.
This is a very scary turn for both players. So actually, Alberto did not terrestrialize.
I think
this Moonblast is gonna go just hit this Fluttermane extremely hard. Let's see how much it does.
And it probably is just gonna KO.
It's just gonna take the knockout, so it actually does live.
It lives with like no HP.
Rock Slide hits.
Rock Slide hits. It does so much to the Tornadus.
And Dazzling Gleam is gonna take this Tornadus.
It does not survive the Dazzling Gleam. It was actually a really good turn for Alberto. Even
I actually think Andrew's still in a really good spot, right? Because Urshifu comes in here most likely. It's faster than this Tornadus, and you can just kind of just click, or this Thunderous, sorry. You can kind of just click Surging Strikes, Moonblast into a slide, and hope it doesn't hit the Amoonguss, right?
And it is tough, right? Because I mean, I think he knows kind of Amoonguss is in the back, right? So he just needs to call.
I mean, Gastrodon is also there. So.
Yeah, Gastrodon's also there, right? And funny enough, both those Pokemon actually do really well.
So Landorus is actually going to switch out for this Amoonguss.
Is he going to go into Gastrodon? Did he bring Gastrodon? He brings Amoonguss.
So yeah, Moonblast going to this Amoonguss is going to do quite a lot of damage. Fluttermane's going to go down to the Surging Strike. Let's see how much this Moonblast does. I expect it to do quite a lot. Yeah, well over half of that Amoonguss.
100%. That really sucks for Alberto there, right? It probably wouldn't.
Double crit.
Yeah, double crit. I mean, first crit kind of mattered. Second one.
I mean, it's a Surging Strike, so it's a crit for sure. Looks like we're experiencing some technical. Okay, it's fine.
It's fine. A little freeze here or there, right?
Add suspense, you know.
Add suspense to see what comes out next. But crucially, right, this Amoonguss, it could probably take another Moonblast, but it probably cannot take Moonblast plus Surging Strikes, right? Which is actually really crucial. Oh, but he actually does have Gastrodon in the back. And
so this is interesting.
Yeah, two very passive Pokemon, but we already know that can't Surging Strikes here.
Yeah, it's gonna get redirected, that Storm Drain, right?
Yeah, and honestly, depending on how Alberto has invested into this, it is probably gonna live a Moonblast too.
Yeah, so Protect is an option for this Gastrodon, a very scary option for Andrew if he does choose to double it, right? Yeah. He knows that Amoonguss most likely goes down to Moonblast from this position, right? That critical hit really putting it into positions where he's just more favorable to kill.
Yeah,
so he's gonna max out his move timing here, go straight into the close combat on the Gastrodon. And
you just close combat the Gastrodon 100%, right?
Moonblast into that Amoonguss slot, so let's see what happens.
And again,
so we're gonna see a Terrastalize come out from Alberto. I'm very interested to see what it is. It's most likely a Terrastalize Fiber on Gastrodon, right? So resisting the fairy moves, right?
Yeah, and it still has
this is an option a lot of Gastrodons choose to go for, right?
Yeah.
You resist the freeze drive from the Iron Bundle critically. You resist all the grass moves you're caught weak to, and you resist Water Main.
So we see the Protect coming out. Go into it?
So we saw the close combat go into that that Gastrodon slot and the Moonblast into the Amoonguss. So it's interesting here if the Earth Power on the Flutter Mane will take. So we see close combat doing well over half the Gastrodon, but it's going to eat that Citrus Berry.
Because an Earth Power here might actually do it.
It's going to eat that Citrus Berry, go back up to a higher HP, no longer in range of this close combat.
Yeah, so if you Earth Powers the Urshifu here, might actually take it out.
I doubt it. Flutter Mane does get taken out by this.
Yeah, and that's actually
Andrew is now in a very awkward position. He doesn't have great ways to take out this Landorus in the back, right?
Yeah.
Which is very scary. He does have Rillaboom, we do know that, and I don't see a way for him to kill Amoonguss. I think that's it.
Yeah, and funny enough though, interestingly enough, right? The high horsepower does actually hit the Gastrodon super effectively, right? But the issue is I think the Gastrodon is at a high enough health to where Amoonguss could just redirect, right? Actually, it doesn't even have high horsepower here, actually. So it's actually a really bad situation here because he could easily redirect with the Amoonguss here, right? And actually just Earth Power the Urshifu, and that probably takes it out.
Yeah.
Right, especially with like a -2, right? Because Urshifu is always going to close combat before Gastrodon.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's actually choosing double the Gastrodon here. Amoonguss does switch out, getting that regenerator. Andrew pumps his fist, maybe a little happy, also shakes his head, kind of upset. And is gonna get that Intimidate drop.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, it might actually mean that the Gastrodon
lives now, right?
Not gonna take as much damage here, right? So I mean,
so we do see the Protect. Close combat will go through, but the Woodhammer not going to. Gastrodon gets to stay on the field one more turn longer if we don't see a critical hit here. And we don't. So Gastrodon does stay on the field just a little bit longer. Landorus is faster than everything else now. Tailwind does go down.
Like a grassy glide.
Yeah.
And it's actually really interesting here, right? Because you can actually switch back in the Amoonguss that's gotten like back all its health by Regenerator, and you could actually go for a Stomping Tantrum onto the Urshifu probably, right? Because it's actually very
I thought he was gonna close combat his own Rillaboom.
Oh yeah, no, I mean
maybe he sees something we don't.
Maybe he sees something we don't, right? Probably not. But I mean,
I just don't see how he takes out this Amoonguss here.
Yeah,
that's gonna be really the troubling part, right?
Especially when he's like pivoting between the two.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
The healing, the Intimidate drop, the healing, the Intimidate drop, the healing, the Intimidate drop. It's so tough.
Yeah, so he's just gonna go straight for the close combat, and he's gonna Woodhammer into the Landorus, or he's gonna actually just gonna double.
Trying to double that Gastrodon, remove it from the field,
and he goes into the Amoonguss. Andrew is not very happy by that. Shakes his head. It's a very hard call. Despite how passive both these Pokemon are. Oh, and he's gonna actually U-turn back into the Gastrodon to get it safely out here.
Exactly.
And then yeah, I mean,
just reposition that Lando again later. Get another Intimidate drop, right?
Yeah, because it's pretty much locked into close combat, right? And if the close combat's doing nothing, then what can... Like, it's just hard, right? I mean, these Pokemon are just getting walled by these these two defensive Mons. Let's see how much a Woodhammer does. Just nothing. Oh my God.
Actually, the Rillaboom takes more damage from the Rocky Helmet and the recoil than it did to the Amoonguss. I think this is over for Andrew. Like, it's just so hard to just kill this Amoonguss.
He does need to get a crit on the close combat somehow.
Yeah, that is his only win con.
And it is interesting, right? That can I mean, yeah, it's a crit close combat, right? But the thing is he can actually take advantage of the Gastrodon like not being on the field, right? But
Yeah.
Alberto's giving really tight windows to where Gastrodon's not actually on the field, right? You saw how earlier he like switched out the Gastrodon and you turned with Landorus to keep the Gastrodon on the
exactly,
field.
Exactly, yeah. Allowing that Gastrodon to stay on the field, validating that surging strikes, right?
Yeah.
Protect does come out. It will still take damage from this close combat, but it will not actually get hit by this Wood Hammer critically, and does stay alive.
Still does so much damage, actually.
Spore most likely coming out into this Urshifu slot here.
Yeah, so I mean, does this Gastrodon get the attack off? It does not. And then I believe the Spore coming into the -2 Urshifu with the Spore.
Yeah, this seems like it's over.
It seems pretty over here, right? Because now he could actually just
Urshifu is also like -4.
Yeah, he could actually switch into Landorus here for the Gastrodon, get another Intimidate drop, and he could probably
alternatively
just, like,
he could heal the Amoonguss, right?
Yeah, he could also just Pollen Puff the Rillaboom for like a KO, you know. But maybe he might just go for the more aggressive play, and he needs to get this Gastrodon out. So I think Alberto will have to switch out the Gastrodon here, yeah, and rightfully so, right? Just in case things go awry here, right? So Landorus comes back in. Oh my gosh,
another
so
Intimidate drops.
Yeah, so many. And
stays it's mandatory one turn of sleep.
Yep. Andrew.
Wood Hammer's gonna do quite a lot with that Intimidate drop.
Yeah.
Keeping it out of the red. That Pollen Puff gonna heal it all the way back to full. Oh, no, actually into the Rillaboom, keeping it up on 1 HP. This is actually awkward now for Alberto.
Yeah.
Because a wake up.
I think he still Rage Powders here. I think he still Rage Powders here and goes for like maybe not a Rock Slide, probably just Stomping.
Interesting here, actually. If the Rillaboom chooses to Wood Hammer, does it die to a Rage? Or I guess it can't get Rage Shatter, but if it Wood Hammers the Amoonguss, does it die to Rocky Helmet and Recoil?
Yeah.
He's actually going to Surging Strike.
Oh, maybe he glides here. But he probably drops to grass. I think I think both these Mons just really just drop to a Rocky Helmet. Yeah. Amoonguss could survive, like almost always Amoonguss survives both these hits. So like if Rillaboom decides not to attack, it probably just falls to the Lando.
So actually soon to see that double up, right? He does wake up. He does get it. Gastrodon does not come in. Oxygen is not going to kill, but Grassy Glide is going to do a lot. If it crits, it does take. It does not take. He lives on 1 HP. Tom will knock out this Urshifu here. -4 from the close combat.
Wow, Lander is sticking in there like a champ. That's got to have been like 1
or 2 HP. Yeah. Pollen Puff knocking out that Rillaboom.
Oh my god.
That was a great set.
Wow,
from a disastrous position, Andrew almost loses the position.
Yeah. Almost brought it back.
Yeah. That was crazy, but yeah, these two competitors, very seasoned players, very great players.
Oh, very high.
Duking it out in the top 4. Pretty awesome game.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was very entertained by that one. I mean, last two sets we watched were like insanely good.
Yeah. Like, I mean, all the sets today have been really good. So, like, this place is very, very
very good.
The Southern California region. If you want to come play in PCs, come out here. Taron, our judge, would love to have more people. She wants more people to manage. She wants more attendees.
Yeah, no. Our judges,
bring your family, bring your kids. 100, 200 people. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, our judges are very glad to have more people here, right? I mean, and honestly, like, players are also have more people, right? So we could get more of a kicker for points and whatnot, right? So like us as players also want that. So please come out to these locals. They're very fun vibe, very fun, a lot of good practice, right? So since we just finished our top 4 match, we're gonna in like a 5 minutes or so, we're gonna come back into
finals.
Come back to our finals match. Yeah, this is gonna be really exciting. So stay tuned for the finals. We are not sure who's going to be in the finals.
Yeah, top 4 still playing.
We only know Alberto's going to be in the finals. That's it. So
right now the final match, I believe, is Everett Falloon versus. I actually cannot see his opponent from here. The angle is just right.
It is Everett versus.
I can't see it.
I can't see it from here either. So
but yeah, we will be back to you in 5 minutes.
After the match.
See you guys soon.
So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back in like maybe 5-10.